My name is Martin Donaldson, and I restore classic American cars from the post-war era. Right here behind me is Tucker number 3, and it was once owned by George Lucas. He owned it for a period of time. It spent many years in a car museum in West Virginia in the 60s. It was in pretty rough condition for many years, and it's just recently undergone an extensive restoration. Been in my care for about 3 years. I've done a lot of the mechanical and electrical interior work, and I found a lot of new old stock parts for it, believe it or not. So that was like an archaeological dig in itself, just finding original Tucker parts. There was a lot of parts missing from this car. They're unique in many ways, really. I tend to specialize in tail fins and chrome, that kind of stuff. This is a little different. Aircraft engine in the back, a Cord transmission, a lot of classic car guys will be familiar with. A little finicky, like any old car. We drove it on the freeway recently from the foothills of the San Fernando Valley down to Pasadena for the Art Center College of Design concourse there. It was really only about 20 miles, but it was through some hills and stuff like that. So it was an interesting drive, quite an adventure. Also a lot of fun and a learning experience at the same time. It was types. Tucker never really made it to full production, so they're all kind of crude prototypes, to be honest. They're interesting and perhaps a little finicky to drive. If you're familiar with how a 36, 37 Cord drives, it drives very similar to that in the way it shifts. It's a vacuum electric shifting mechanism, so it can be a little finicky and temperamental. Doesn't always want to go into gear. Of course, all the weight is in the back, so that can feels very light in the front, so that affects the driving experience. Well, it's very unique in that it's a light aircraft engine. It's actually a Franklin helicopter engine produced by the air-cooled motor companies in Syracuse, New York. Basically Franklin light aircraft engines. And this particular engine was designed for their helicopters. If you remember the old TV show MASH, you remember the little bubble top helicopters? It's the exact same engine. It's just that it's laid down and converted to water cooling and modified for automotive use. It's hooked up to a 36, 37 Cord transaxle, a vacuum operated pre-select transmission. The engine was rated at about 166 horsepower, which was no slouch at the time, in the late 40s. That's not bad. Preston Tucker was very interested in safety. He thought that auto manufacturers previously in this country had not been responsible in that area, and he really wanted to do something about that. So a lot of his design innovations in this car had a safety feature in mind. So the windshield actually popped out in an accident. The center headlight turned with the front wheels to light your way around a corner. A lot of people back then were injured in car wreck stuff, so he wanted to eliminate that stuff.